All right, what is up, everybody? Welcome to a Scotch Sunday live stream on Drums and Drams. It is 8 p.m. Sunday, June 2nd, and we've got we have a lot of Scotch to potentially taste. Probably not going to get through all of this tonight because I think there are probably about 25 samples in front of me or something like that. And so we're just gonna kind of roll with the punches and see where the night takes us. A lot of folks have sent me Scotch samples. And, this is an effort to kind of get through some of those, do, quick reviews, but also I don't want to, skimp on anything. But this is a great way to kind of taste through some things that folks have given me. Stuff that I'm never going to be able to get around to on the channel, whether it's because they're really specific releases or just the quantity. And so this is going to be, I think, a really fun night. I have two American single malts, or actually, I have one American single malt, one Australian single malt. And I do want to make an effort to try both of those because one of the samples I've been sitting on for quite a while, this Westland from Will Molnar. The other one is a Starward sample, which is Australian, and that is from Travis, and I want to get to that one as well, just to add some variety. Not that we don't have already a ton of variety. So the table's a little bare right now because, there's no bottles on it. It's all samples. And, maybe I could get into something behind me. More often, or more likely than not, I would say it's probably going to just be for a point of reference for some of this stuff. But if you guys have anything that you see, behind me in the room you want me to taste, feel free to let me know. So, Javier, what's up, man? Damn, wish I knew this was happening and hadn't popped bottles at noon today. Yeah, I have some of your samples out here too, man, from that first batch you sent me. And I'm not sure, some of them I thought I tasted, but they're so full that maybe I just did a teeny little taste. I'm not sure, but we'll see. All right, so let me say hello to a few folks. I got to get something in my glass here first. We're probably going to start with, let's see, what are we going to start with? Probably some Macallans because, let's start with some American single malt. Why not? Let's go with this Westland to kick things off. I think this will be interesting. So, I'll get this poured out. And this is a Westland American single malt, single cask. 7-year, port finished at 106.8. So we'll just kick off Scotch Sunday with something that is not Scotch, but that's okay. Hit that like button on your way in, please, whether you're watching the replay or watching it live. Josh Fritz, what's up? Good evening, Cam and chat. Sipping some Redbreast Tawny and 12-year cask. Nice. Can't remember if I've had that Tawny or not. Sean Holtgrave, stall him, keep him busy. Don't get off work for another hour. All right, I'm going to keep scrolling. Good to see you, JG. Mr. Mom 310. Ty Leasy. Leo. So, guys, Leo just dropped off some Four Roses samples. That's stuff that the Patreon members and the Discord may or may not know about. But with that, I'm going to sneeze. With that, Leo dropped off also a Glenallachie Batch 7 cask strength and a Cardew 11-year, 112 proof. It's a 2020 special release. So those are also some options for tonight. Adam says, that looks like a fun table full. Cheers. Yeah, man, I'm excited. Adam, I actually don't know if I snagged any of your samples. Let me see here. There we go. So yeah, Adam, I know that I had already tasted the Bruichladdich 18 on that review and some other things, but here are two Bruichladdich picks that you sent me. And I don't know how to say that word. Rivesalt, Rivesalts. I don't know how to say that. But again, more options. I've got a little Bruichladdich pile going somewhere here. I don't know. It's getting out of hand on the table. Jay, Cam, you can do at least 24 samples, maybe. Anthony James, howdy, sipping on a cast strength 9-year Indy Edredor that is amazing. I actually looked at some samples, signatory bottling that I've got a sample of from Frank and some other Edredors as well. 12-year from Mitch. Okay, let's see. What's up, Jesse? Good to see you, man. Tim, what's your go-to Scotch you recommend for bourbon drinkers? I actually steer clear of stuff like the 14-year bourbon barrel Glenfiddich that people talk about as a gateway. I don't think a lot of those like virgin American oak type expressions. I don't know that those are actually the best way to get bourbon drinkers into Scotch, because I think sometimes it feels overly sweet. In a different way, obviously, from bourbon, because you're not really talking about the grain sweetness as much as you are the cask. So I think cask strength, if you're talking to a bourbon drinker that likes intensity, go cask strength. What's the Aberlour cask strength? Not the sherried one, the other one. The Abuna Alba, that's it. That's like a possibility. The the Bunnahabhain 12 cask strength, the 2023 I just tried, I think would be a really nice option. These are all unpeated, so I'm trying to avoid peat, trying to avoid sherry in a lot of cases, because those are kind of off notes in that transition from bourbon. So that Bunna 2023 is a good one. Like regular bottlings, Compass Box, I think is pretty inoffensive. Like if you could go Spice Tree, but even less offensive would be the oh god, what's the blue box? Oak? Is it called Oak Cross or something? I don't know. Klein Leash maybe would be a decent way to go in as well. Deanston, see, I don't know. I think I've got a Deanston sample. I don't know if it's in front of me or if it's in the shelf behind me. I thought about tasting that, but yeah, anyways. Well, I guess I got to take a sip of something, guys. So cheers. Thanks for hanging out. Let me know if you are sipping on anything, especially if it's Scotch, but even if not, that's fine. And here we go. Westland American Single Malt, 7-year port finished. Huh. This has that kind of like that American single malt chocolatey note that I get on a lot of these things. Some kind of like sappy, a little bit of this sappy kind of note. Almost vegetal, but a little darker maybe, a little more funky. Huh. All right, I just got to get some on the palate. Cheers, guys. Ooh, very, very chocolatey. Now, it's a port finish. And there are some of those dark stewed fruits here from the port. But I really think the chocolate on this is the star of the show. Why is American single malt so much more chocolatey? What is that? Glenallachie 12, Glencaddimore Arran 10. Yeah. Hedonism is a nice corn Compass Box, says Peter. Yeah, and someone mentioned that. It was in a comment. Maybe it was in the Discord, actually. We were talking about this, and someone mentioned Hedonism, but the price point on that is a little high, you know, as an entry type thing. Oh, Oak Cross discontinued. Orchard House. Okay. Gotcha. Hard bag for new Scotch drinkers. Henry's drinking some C919. Nice. Tom Harper predicted winner tonight. Brooke Lottie predicted most underrated Scotch. Oban. So the Oban I have in front of me is one that I'm not familiar with, that Have Jeepo Whiskey Lynn sent me, which is the Soul of Calypso. So it looks like a rum cask finish at 116 proof. Now, I'm not a big fan of rum, but with Scotch, I think it tends to do better for me than it does with American whiskey, or on its own. Jay, I have a B524 on the way, but I haven't tasted it yet, so I don't know that. You would have to ask the chat if anybody here's tried the B524 batch. All right, so this is transitioning now into kind of like it's very jammy port notes on this Westland. And a lot of coffee is coming through on this now. I like this a lot. This Westland, there's nothing in this that's like an off note. It would just purely be preference if I wanted to drink it on any given night. I don't think it's over finished, actually. Color's great. I like that quite a bit. It's a nice combination of chocolate, espresso, but also enough fruit notes. After that first sip, the fruit comes to play a little bit more. I dig it. So, Will, sorry I took so long to taste that, man. Let's get into some Scotch now. We'll revisit that Australian single malt from Starward at some point in the stream. So we're going to try to start with some things that are not heavily peated. I think that's not a great way to kick this off. So we're going to go to some Macallans. And I know that, look, people have their opinions on Macallan, whatever. But the stuff that we're going to taste tonight is not your standard stuff. And this is all very generously donated, these samples, by Greg, who is in the Patreon and the Discord. He lives local, he's in Columbus here, and I stopped by his house the other day, and he handed these off to me. So we've got Macallan Edition 1, Macallan Edition 2, and then we have two of these more specialty bottlings, which is Macallan Sienna, and the one that is nice and dark, the Macallan Ruby. So as we go through here, I'll be looking up, the info on these bottlings, pulling it up on my second screen in front of me, and I'll kind of give it to you guys as we go. Javier, I never sent you the 2022 Oban 11. I failed you. I don't think I have that one. All right, so can I just get some stats, please, Macallan? Jeez, 48.1% ABV on Edition 1. I'm going to go ahead and get all of these poured out. So from your left to right is going to go Edition 1, Edition 2, then Sienna, and then Ruby. All right, so I'm going to make a little more room here on the table. Edition 1, Edition 2, Sienna, and Ruby. And Greg was saying when we were talking about the Macallan Ruby that apparently there's some pretty old casks in that blend. Oh my God, look at the color on that. All right. So I'm not familiar with any of these expressions. And it's going to be kind of exciting in that way. So we're going to just start with the little Macallan Flight, and then we'll keep it moving after this. Maybe I should have started with something that's a little less sherry, but I think it's going to be fun. Let's see, Tom. I think Oban is soft, but marries well with the maritime briny notes. We'll be interested to see what the rum does to add the sweetness to it. Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Maybe we move to that after this one. Leo, love the Mac too. I have one left in the bunker. Doesn't Macallan use E150A out the wazoo? I think these are natural, actually. I think they're chill filtered, but I think they're probably natural color. Although I'm not sure. Let me know in the chat. All right, so Mac 1, here we go. All right, Macallan Edition 1, pretty nutty. Right away, I get like a light cocoa note, lots of almond. Kind of a touch of a dark honey and a little bit of, this note that I call out on more modern-day Macallans is a little bit of that tire rubber kind of note. Yeah, I was going to say Mac doesn't add color, but Dalmore does. All right, so first impression on the nose of Edition 1. I think it smells fine. It's not standing out as anything very special to me. It's like kind of a combination of, I don't know, what would you say? Like, yeah, dried fruit notes on here to kind of play along with, but I'm not talking dark sherry dry fruits. It's a little bit lighter than that, actually. This is not some kind of deep sherry bomb for me. So I'm going to nose them all first. So Macallan Edition 2 now. I need to pull up the info on this. Macallan Edition 2 stats. 48.2%. All right. Ooh. Edition 2 smells a little bit more like citrusy, a little bit more of like a caramelized orange, blood orange. More balanced, actually. Huh. Yeah. Very different between the two editions, I would say, on the nose. Brett says, you mentioned Glenallachie. Now I need it. Just poured a batch 6. Nice, man. I like the nose on that edition too quite a bit. So on to Macallan Sienna. So Peter said the Macallan Sienna and Ruby were just Macallan dropping age statements while they got the new distillery up and running. Macallan Sienna stats. So this is 86 proof, a 43% ABV, released in 2013. Price between 70 to 100 or so, it says. Ooh, I like this quite a bit. So this has an old library book note to it that reminds me of Aberfeldy, the Aberfeldy 21. Yeah. So this is a little bit more of like that heather honey. There's a tinge of this black pepper note in here, and this old book, old library note. And tobacco, I would say, like a little bit of a tobacco thing. That might be... Yeah, and it's to me, it's a little less... It's a little less sherried feeling, just overall. More of a balanced nose on that Sienna. I like that. And now onto the Ruby on the nose. So this is just kind of a quick down the line. Now that's sherry. As you might expect, given that color on the Ruby. Wow. Okay. This is going to be fun. Let me pull up just Macallan Ruby stats. Pull this one up here. Oh wow, that is not cheap online. Macallan Ruby. I wonder if I can find the blend of ages in these casks. If anyone else can find it online, let me know. It says first fill sherry cask, which makes sense. All right, let's go ahead and taste Macallan Edition 1. Which I said is a little bit nuttier, a little bit more rubbery. Kind of classic. Kind of feels like the double cask on the nose to me. Very spicy up front. Yeah. I would be so curious to compare this to the double cask. I have a bottle in the basement. Big ginger notes in the finish. It's fine. I mean, does anybody think this edition 1, anybody in the chat that's tried it, is this supposedly pretty special, or is it just a rarity thing, secondary, the reason that it costs like, I don't know, what is this, $1,000 now or something like that? It's very good, but to me, it's not blowing me away. Peter says, I always passed on the Ruby and Sienna because Macallan cask strength was available by the case back then. Oh, that's nice. Henry, would you be interested in reviewing some of the Game of Thrones themed scotches since House of the Dragon Season 2 will premiere in 2 weeks? Not the Johnny Walker lineup, LOL. I'm probably okay on it, you know? I think the time has passed. I appreciate it. Unless it was like... If it was like a really well-produced video and I had the full set of bottles in front of me, you know, like that could be a cool thing, even though Game of Thrones is long gone. Or at least out of production, I mean. I think at this point it's probably okay. I'm not sure that it would be as interesting because those bottles, while they are still sitting on some shelves, you know, it's kind of post Game of Thrones now. All right, Edition 2, Macallan. Softer on the Edition 2, but more of a profile to it. It drinks a little bit more enveloping, I think, with less of a spice hit up front. Shorter finish, though. Let's see. What's the casking on this? Is this all? Here we go. Let's find out a little bit more about this. Macallan Edition 2. I think I like the Edition 2 a little bit more. It's just more integrated on the palate between its chocolate notes, its fruit notes. Back to Edition 1. It's actually remarkable how much more spice Edition 1 has on it. So that's going to appeal certainly to a certain kind of drinker, but I think I like the flavor profile on Edition 2. Peter, I traded a Mac Edition 2 for a 2021 Thomas H. Handy and 2-ounce sample of Booker's Rye. That's not a bad trade. If it was Dungeons and Dragons themed, Cam would be all over it. I've actually never played Dungeons and Dragons. Okay. Let's see. Edition 2 combination of sherry puncheons, butts, refill hogsheads using both European and American oak. All right. So let's check out the Sienna on the palate now. Get this pulled up. This is the one that had that kind of old library note, a little tobacco. I really, really like the nose on this. It feels a bit softer, and it is proof-wise. This is 86 proof compared to about 96 for the other two. Jesse. Macallan does produce some really good stuff. Unfortunately, it's a bit overpriced because it's so popular among those who pretend to be Scotch connoisseurs. Macallan from the 90s is fire, though. I've never had anything bottled in the 90s. Only distilled in the 90s for Macallan. All right, Sienna. Wow, interesting pepper spice on that. Soft entry. Almost a little something tropical at the front for just a second. And then it kind of just tingles a little bit black pepper on that one. I like the nose more than I like the palate. That one does feel a little bit cut down proof-wise. Like it needs a little bit more something going on to deliver those flavors a bit better. Yeah. Very soft, very sweet. Boo Ryan says, what year spring banks do you have back there? I think those are both 2023 bottlings of the 10 and the 15. The cask strength, I can't remember. It's an older cask strength, and it's almost gone. I did a review on that cask strength a while back. The other ones I want to say are August 2023 bottlings of the 10 and the 15. All right, now on to the Ruby. Oh man, the Ruby is just leather. Super, super dark chocolate notes, very earthy almost. Obviously big sherry fruit notes on this. Oh man. Yeah, I mean, that's probably the winner. I mean, for me, I like big sherry bombs. We got to do one more sip of that. Woo! Nick, what's up, man? Since it's Sunday night, going to just go to the Classic Lottie and keep it mellow. Cheers, Cam and all. All the cool kids are here, says William Hall. Yeah, this is fun. I mean, you know, I like doing these Scotch streams. So these Macallans they all have pretty I would say they all have pretty different profiles. This is interesting. Like, the Edition 1 might be my least favorite of the bunch. The palate is very cool because it's so spicy up front. But the flavor profile overall, it doesn't really do it for me. Like, it's a little too sherry funk, sherry, rubber in that realm. A little bit of like a walnut brown butter note on the Sienna on that nose. But I think worst palate of the bunch for me is probably the Sienna, unfortunately, and the worst nose, in my opinion, for my preference, would be the Edition 1. That Edition 2, I like that a lot. It's a great balance of proof, of a little bit of a lighter profile, very fruit-driven. Just the balance on everything with that pour is great. But Ruby. Javier, where did that go? Did I miss that? Oh my God. The Ruby on the nose has like a dusty note to it. Like a dusty old school bourbon note. Butterscotch for this. Along with those dark sherried fruits, the leathers. Oh man, that smells so good. Kyle, just opened a Blue Spot, duty-free, sub 70. Kyle, right now I'm doing a Macallan flight, older Macallans, Edition 1, Edition 2, Sienna, and Ruby. And it's interesting. Like, I think the Macallan Edition 1 hype, I have to imagine after tasting it right now, is only based on rarity and being in the series than the actual quality of the whiskey. Because I think the whiskey's just fine. To have high-quality Macallan without going broke, go after Gordon & MacPhail, Spey Malt, or Signatory Unnamed Macallan. Are the Macallans worth the price? No. Like, for me, Edition 1, Edition 2, there's no way these are worth the price. Edition 2 is fun to drink, don't get me wrong, but I would a secondary on it, probably $500 to $700 or something. I know it's up there. I can't imagine spending that kind of money. What's up, Will? I just tasted your Westward a bit ago. Very chocolatey. Nice balance between espresso notes, chocolate notes, and that port. I thought it was great. Javier, Cam, do you ever do the Springbank 12 cask I sent you to put into the 12-year head-to-head? I have it back here. And actually, maybe we can get into this because I have a sample of the local barley. Yes, right here. I have a sample of the local barley 2023 from Lido, so maybe we could get into that. All right, one more sip of this Ruby. That's just delicious. If I could... what would I pay for that Ruby? I don't even know. I don't know what secondary is on it. Secondary is probably way higher than what I would want to pay. But considering what I know about Macallan 18 prices now, SRP's $400. Macallan 12, SRP's like $100 now, or around that. This, to me, I would probably drink that over the 18. So in today's dollars of SRP, that's like a $450, $500 whiskey in my mind. Considering, to memory, here. This is this is a 2023 Mac 18. Yeah, not close. The Ruby spanks this stuff. So, yeah. So the Ruby is very, very good. So what did I learn? I learned that the hype and stuff for the Edition 1, the price point, doesn't mean much. Edition 2, perhaps the most balanced between the Sienna, the 2, and the 1. Sienna has a great nose, but it's just too soft on the palate. but I love the flavor profile of it. I think it's wonderful. It's yeah, soft orange marmalade, like old library books. That black pepper thing, a little bit of that. It just reminds me of Aberfeldy 21 in some ways. That distillate develops in that way. And addition 2 is just balance. Yeah. Ruby are currently hanging around 520 pounds at auction. So that makes sense to me. You know, that's a little high, but for where I would value it compared to current day Macallan offerings, it makes sense. Anthony, what's up, dude? I did taste that Murray Hill Club sample you sent. I don't want to share anything here online because I want to put a review of that out. Maybe tomorrow, actually. So thanks, Greg, for sharing these pours with me. None of them are bad. It's not like I taste any of these and go, ooh. Very fun little four-way battle of Macallans. And just to kind of wrap that up, let's take one sip here of a Macallan that Jesse generously provided, which is a Scotch Malt Whiskey Society called Massive Oak Extraction. It says Speyside Whiskey Festival 2023 release. 63% ABV. It's a 14-year Macallan. The color is nuts. Absolutely nuts on this. Okay. Wow. Tom Harper, does old library books, never was able to classify that note, but I love it. Does Aberfeldy 12 and 16 have it too? I've got to be honest with you, Tom. I haven't tasted Aberfeldy 12 and 16. I think I've tasted 12 actually in passing, and I've never owned a bottle. And the 16 I have no experience with. So I'm not sure if they get that note at those lower age statements or if it's something specific to the 2021. So I don't know, unfortunately. That's a good question for the chat, though. Folks that have had 12, 16, and 21, are there any similarities, between those things in terms of their profiles, or does it really differ between those age statements? So Anthony says, I got to send you some single cask Virginia Distillery Cuvée American Single Malt. It beats Hibiki 21 and Dewar's 32 for me by a mile. That sounds interesting. I'm not going to say no. If you want, man, I'd happily taste it. Peter says, I have the Spey Malt Gordon MacPhail 2000 to 2021 Mac cast strength. Destroys almost all Macallans in the core range and higher. I wish I could, well, if I'm going to pour one last thing tonight, that's going to be it, says Javier. Yeah, Will, the Westland was a bit ago. Okay, so this massive oak extraction, this 14-year Macallan, is super, super spicy and very woody on the nose. This has a fudge note to it. What am I thinking of here? It almost has like a double oak, like the wave stave double oaked products that I've tasted. The Backbone Junkies pick that they did, which was an MGP bourbon, I think, with put into a wave stave barrel or something. Sagamore double oaked also. This has that same kind of oak profile that those have. It's intense on the nose. So much cinnamon. That's like, oh my God, that's so intense. Wow. A little herbal in a weird way, with all the tingly, peppery spiciness. The drinking experience on that's pretty wild. That's very good. It's not, like I'm going to put a little water in it because it doesn't round out and open up very much. It's extremely spice-driven. It's gripping on the palate. It's a little bit drying. But I could drink a lot of that whiskey. But it's intense. It's not for somebody that wants like a soft, approachable type, profile, or very fruity even at a higher proof. This doesn't really do that for me. It needs a little bit of water. Jesse, that is a crazy, crazy pour, man. Water does it very well. It's like sticky fruits now. Sticky dark fruits. So Travis, when you say a lot of oak for a Scotch, it's a lot, or just a lot when compared to like an oaky bourbon. I would say for this, I'm definitely thinking more just for a Scotch. But at the same time, this oak comes off. It's a 14-year Scotch. It comes off to me almost like a 6 to 7 year bourbon. When you get one of those bourbons that has that young oak note to it, that's extremely intense. And frankly, on a lot of bourbons, I don't like that note because it makes the whole whiskey feel brighter. I think for these Scotches, while it is a similar note, it has a different effect on the pour for me. It doesn't make it feel a lot younger because I think it's a totally different context that it's in. But I think mostly I'm talking about in Scotch terms. Jesse, stream cut out for a bit. What's he drinking? Yeah, I'm drinking your Scotch malt. Yes, that's what I'm drinking. And I have a little water in it now, Jesse. First pour was like rip your face off, balls to the wall, spicy. In the water, man. I'm going to save that last sip. That's going to perhaps be my final pour of the night. Final sip of the night. Amazing. Okay. Let's keep it moving. Let's go somewhere totally different. Let's get out of Sherry land. Let's do a one-off. So let's hit that Oban. There it is. The Soul of Calypso, I think is what it says. It's a little rubbed off here. At 116, we'll use one of these glasses. The color on this is crazy light. And I got to look this up because I want to know the age of this. This is the 2023 special release. Okay, I didn't realize that. I love Oban so much. So this is 11 years old. All right. 11 years old, 116 proof. About $135 SRP. Ooh, okay. Jay, what's the number of whiskeys tried so far? I think 7, maybe 7. But very small amounts, very, very small on these. Wow, I really like the nose of this a lot. It's very, very bright and sweet and coastal. This is great. It's like some kind of like tropical fruit, like with sugar on top and like some kind of like vanilla icing almost. Very vanilla forward. It's super salty on the nose. Pencil shaving note in here. And yeah, there's like this overall bright and sweet element to it, which is probably coming from the rum casks, but I'm not hit over the head by any off rum notes for me particularly, I don't like those chlorine notes, the hose water notes that you get on some rums. This smells great to me. It's also got a lot of a white pepperiness on the nose. Let's do a sip of this. There's something else I'm trying to... Sprite? Like a lemon lime thing? Yeah. Oh. That hits the spot for me. This is a summer whiskey if I've ever tasted one. It's actually a teeny bit overly sweet on the palate with this vanilla note for me. Kind of like a vanilla icing is where I would go. Like, you know, if you ever have kind of cheap vanilla icing on some store-bought cake, there's kind of like a residue that it leaves after, you know, you're eating the cake or whatever. That taste it leaves in your mouth, that feeling almost. There's a little bit of that from this whiskey. That's the one downside for me. But the profile is so fresh and bright and lively, and like, it's just like being on the sea, you know? Oh my God, that's great. I really, really like this. So for me, rum with Scotch does so much better than it does with American whiskey. I'm going to throw a teeny bit of water in this. And like, there's just enough peat in here. Like it's a little tinge of this peat smoke hanging out in the background, and it's that balance between pepperiness and a light peat with brine. When you get that balance right, I think Talisker, you know, has that pepperiness to it as well, and that nice balance. When you get that right, it's just kind of this one cohesive unit of, yeah, these little punctuating, like prickly type things on the palate. Have you tried the new Lagavulin rum cask? No, but I saw an ad for it on Facebook. No, I would be interested in trying that. Jay, only 18 more to go. Alpha Crown says, recently transferred in Taiwan airport. There's a pile of Diageo special releases 2023 and duty free with chop prices. Yeah, I mean, I've never picked up Diageo special releases, but the other day I was in a liquor store here in Columbus, and I was looking on the shelf, and I mean, I just couldn't believe the pricing on some of those things. It seems overkill. Now look, this Oban, which is 135, is what it says right here in front of me. Look, quality of the whiskey versus price, I don't hate it. I really think the whiskey's great. So again, with the one kind of drawback for me being that residual sweetness on the palate that's a little overdone. All right, so with water on the nose, it softened it, but it kind of lost some of its personality. It did tame the sweetness, actually. And it brings out more of a, it's like almost like a cucumber water note. Cucumber and like lemon water kind of note in here. It brings out a little more of that, and it brings down the vanilla. So if this tames the sugariness on the palate, then that would be a plus. But I think the nose falters with water on this one for me. Well, the development on this is no longer like hit you in the face. It's just super steady with that water. The water might be the way to go. The palate's better. The sweetness is tamed, nose and palate. Overall, this is a bottle that I would pick up. At 135, I would actually pick this up. Yeah. It kind of reminds me a little bit of a Campbelltown type vibe for this Oban. And anything that, you know, gives me that, I'm down. So maybe I'm crazy. Let me know in the live chat, or, you know, people that watch this after the fact. Let me know if I'm crazy for saying I would pay $135 for this Oban 11, but I think if I gave this to Sarah, I think she would love it too. These very coastal whiskeys for us, that's right up our alley. Javier, sorry, but the Wild Turkey Masters Keep Voyage with the rum finish was trash. I agree. I did not like it at all. It was so just overly sweet and I don't know. Not a fan. I'm going to clear a few glasses. Hey, Will Molnar, are you still in here? Because I do have... What I noticed, Will, is it looks like I've taken a sip of the Gold Label Reserve you sent me, the Johnny, but the Centenary Blend Gold Label, it looks like I haven't sipped. So if this was an opportunity for a comparison, and it looks like I missed that opportunity last time I sipped these, so this might be something that we do tonight if you're still hanging out. Okay. Looks like you're here. What's up, Matt Porter? Scotch Sunday, you're just crazy in general. What's up, man? Hope you're doing good. Jay, yeah, that's a rhetorical question. Actually, it wasn't even a question. I wasn't even a question. Adam, which Oban was the last sample? It was the 2023 special release? Where'd I put it? There. Soul of Calypso, yeah, 2023 11 year. Finished in Caribbean pot still rum. Love it. All right, Will, let's do that tonight then for sure. Because I totally screwed that up if I didn't do that comparison. Statement of fact then. Should we go to that next, I wonder? The Johnny comparison. Let's do it. So this is Johnny Walker Gold Label, pre-2013 bottling. 18-year gold, discontinued, replaced by the non-age-stated Gold Label Reserve. So let's try this real quick. And then here, so on your left is the newer Gold Label Reserve, non-age-stated. Both of these are 80 proof. I need to pour just a little bit more of the older one. So let's see what this the difference in these two gold labels is, besides the age statement. Okay, so here's the newer one. Okay. First impression on the nose for me is very, very caramel driven for this one. And there's like some kind of maybe like peach note hanging out in here. Not peach. Yeah, maybe peach. Like a little bit of like this. It's like caramelized orange, peach. They're all kind of this one unit working together. But it smells, it smells very like an 80 proof Scotch that's going to appeal to a wide audience. Like it has that kind of a profile on the nose. And a teeny bit of like a cigarette ash note on here, but not particularly peated. Overall, just like sweet caramels. I know that's very generic, but the Scotch is kind of a generic profile. Okay. Now back to the old version of this, the 18-year. Oh, shit. Okay. Very different. This is super nutty. Whoa. Wow. Okay. I don't even know what to say about that. It smells dusty too. It's a little bitter, like a little bitter nuttiness to this. Interesting. Oh. It's like overripe apple notes and just all kind of funky, overstewed, overripe fruits. with a distinct nutty core to it. It's got a little tinge of like walnut bitterness almost. This is cool. It smacks the ever-loving shit out of the new gold label, this non-age stated gold label. Wow. Yeah, which is so plain Jane. I mean, for actually a new whiskey drinker, this Johnny Gold label would be so approachable. Probably a nice gateway to get into it. But there's no personality to that whiskey. It's casino whiskey, you know? You're sitting there gambling, they're bringing you free drinks. You want something that you don't have to think about whatsoever. That would be it. Although they're not going to bring you that. They're going to bring you Johnny Black or Johnny Red. This old gold label's very cool. That nutty bitter thing in the center of the whiskey is so weird. Oh, pistachio maybe? Like, well, you were totally right, man. This old one is... It's the stuff. I mean, and even for a 40% ABV whiskey, it drinks over that to me. It's got a lot more intensity. Whereas I think this newer gold label... The newer gold label, you know, drinks at 40 or maybe even a little under. It's just so tame. So Jesse was talking about, let's see, do you have any of the new Johnny 18 to compare? I don't. Along with the green label, that's my favorite. Yeah, green label to me is I've always said that's my favorite, but I've not tried the current day 18. Will says green versus the 18-year gold label would be interesting. Yeah. I think I have a bottle of green in my basement, but it is so old at this point, and there's hardly any left in it. So maybe I'll do that another time, but that was a fun comparison. All right, what are we going to get on to next? Let's start setting these things aside. We're not going to go Springbank yet. We're not going to go Heavy Peat yet. Oh, here's one for you. Let's go here. Let's go with a little compass box. It looks like I've already tried this. Javier, the Flaming Heart Compass Box 2018. But I've got one from my buddy Frank that I wanted to try on stream. And I took a screenshot of the name so I can look up the stats for it. It's Compass Box Myths and Legends 2. Let's get a fresh glass for it. Actually, yeah, we'll do these glasses. Kyle says, lucked out and got the green label at auction for 25 pounds. Fat fingered a bid and won. Good stuff, but I'm not paying 70 plus for it. Yeah, I'd have to revisit and think about it from a price perspective. I don't remember being offended by the price, but Compass Box Flaming Heart has peat. Ah, okay. Maybe we don't touch this right now. I feel like it looks like I've tasted this before on it. Maybe it was just on my own and not on a stream. But I'll leave it alone for now. And maybe we can do it next to, some of the other stuff on the table tonight. But I do want to taste this Myths and Legends 2. I'll give that a... Give it a goog. Myths and Legends 2. Okay. Myths and Legends 2 blends together malt whiskeys of different ages. So it looks like sounds like a blended malt whiskey, right? Oh, no, no, hang on. Blends together malt whiskeys of different ages from a single distillery. There we go. So this is a single Speyside distillery. We wish to show how process matters more than provenance when it comes to the flavors of single malts. And okay, I don't want to read. That recipe and fact. I think this was Ben Nevis, if I remember what Frank said. I don't know if they say that explicitly on their site or if that's just something that you have to know. Oh, Glen Elgin. Not Ben Nevis, Glen Elgin. So let's see here. This is kind of a specific graph. Recharred American Oak Barrel. Oh, and then they give tasting notes that it adds. Refill American Oak Hogshead. Recharred American Oak Barrel. So is it all American Oak? Nope, there's a refill sherry butt. Doesn't say what kind of oak, though. So this is interesting. Anyways, the Myths and Legends 2. Color, pretty light. 46% natural color, non-chill filtered. July 2019, limited edition, 4,500 bottles. Let's see. Oh my God. So this, and I've already tasted this whiskey with Frank at his house, and I was completely blown away by this stuff. Oh, geez. It's like so fruit juicy, light fruit juicy, tropical fruit juice. Smells totally silky. Wow. The nose on this is significant. And I don't think that I'm familiar with Glen Elgin. Wow. Buttery smooth sweetness. Wow. It's thick and viscous on the palate, even at 46% ABV. Jeez, has anybody tried this stuff? So Myths and Legends 2. I wonder what the other ones are like. Let's see if I can find that. So Myths and Legends 1. I wonder if it's from the same distillery or what. Let's do the fact sheet for this one. Myths and Legends 1 is from Ball Blair. So they're all going to be different distilleries, it looks like. Man, the profile on this whiskey is about as perfect as a profile as you can get for this style. Oh my God. Like it could do with 10-15% more spice to add a little more pizzazz to the whiskey. But overall, that's some of my favorite stuff I've had in a long time. Damn. It's just like, at 46, it's so rich. Jesse says, not much Glen Elgin makes it to the U.S. It's an old school style of Scotch. Meaty and heavy distillate. It makes sense. It's so broad. I gotta not drink all of this right now. I have to share this with Sarah. Wow. Mike says, I've got the Myths and Legends 3. It's a blend of Glen Elgin and 2 other distilleries. All right. So they did a blend within that series. That shit is so good. And there's actually, there's an old oak note to that, too, that you don't typically get in modern-day scotches. That's a 2019 bottling. I don't know what the age was of the stuff in the blend. But it reminds me of old-school scotches from, like, early, 20, 30 years ago bottlings that have this kind of funky old oak note to them. That has it. It's kind of like a damp, oaky, mossy type note. Just in the background, though. Damn. All right, what else are we going to get into? Let's see. A Bunnahabhain 20-year Paulo Cortado. We've got a bunch of Octomores here. We can't do that next. We can't do that just yet. Let's do this other sample. This one is from Leo. Dropped this off on the porch just a little bit ago. This is the Cardew. How do you say that? Cardew? I don't think I've ever said that distillery's name out loud. Cardew? Yeah, I don't think it's anything crazy, right? Cardew. All right. This is a Cardew 112 proof, 11-year, 2020 special release. Light color on this one. 2020 special release. Let's look it up. Okay. I'm on whiskeymonster.com looking for the stats of this. Casking, refill and new ex-bourbon American oak. All right, that doesn't give me too much. That's just worded badly. Let's go to the whiskeybarrel.com to find these stats. So it just says American oak matured. All right, that's fine. That's good enough. Super, super light color. First time experiencing anything from this distillery, so here we go. Crazy bright. Crazy. It's got that like virgin American oak vanilla note and coconut. Yeah, a lot of coconut on this one for me. I don't love the nose, but it's a very specific kind of profile for me. What is the other quality of this that I can't pick up? All right, I got to taste it. It drinks very, very nicely, though. Fruit skin notes come in on the palate. Like bitter, bright fruit. And they totally counteract the intense sweetness of the nose. But I can't say that, like, based on the nose, I was not expecting that amount of tangy, sour, bitter fruit skin. I was not expecting that on the palate. Hint of peat or something. Not sure if this is light, super lightly peated, or if it's just like, kind of terroir driven or whatever, where it was aged. I really like the palate. Development's great. A lot of like youthful, spirit forward spice notes. But the casks have really kind of blown the nose out for me. I'm going to see what other people have said about this. I'm curious. Cardew 11 tasting notes. Mellow and feel with light prickle. I love that. It is prickly. New wood pencil cases, freshly juicy, fruity top notes of green apple, green grape, and pine. So I said, these kind of light fruits. See, the nose to me, after the first sip, I can get more of that, but before, it's just all like fresh American oak casks, it feels like. Palate, a natural strength, a creamy, smooth texture, and sweet then juicy tastes with, the deliciously buttery, yes. Hot and spicy, yes. Recalling toasted hot cross buns. It does have that. It's the buttery sweetness, but the intense, youthful, spirit-driven spice. Yeah. And then, just that tinge of, like, peppery peat. When I think of that peppery peat note, I go to Talisker. Or I go to even that Oban that I tasted a second ago. Peppery peat, where it's not overbearing or whatever. It's just kind of in the background. It's growing on me, though. I think it's growing on me. Maybe a drop of water. There's not much left in the glass, though, so. This is a significant amount of water for the whiskey in the glass. It still holds its kind of fiery, spicy intensity. So, Kyle, I took the 2020 Cardio LE home to the U.S. after a COVID tour of Speyside. Diageo was the only one to keep their stuff open. This was a winner for me. Got it on sale because no one was visiting that year. It's unique for me. It's just like that style of Scotch, which is extremely bright, and it's so, for me, the casking is so intense on the nose, but not necessarily on the palate. The palate feels more spirit driven. But the brightness of that is not totally my style unless it's distinctly coastal, like the Oban was. Same age, both 11 years old. But the Oban with the coastal personality, I can handle that rum cask and the brightness of it a little bit better. Whereas this, to me, it's like, I don't know. I think that's a preference thing more than anything. And a bit farmy. Yeah. All right, Mike says the Buna 20-year Palo Cortado is a special one. You should definitely taste it. So maybe we'll do that next. And then I have these Aaron bottlings. Now, Javier, if you're still here, man, both of these, I don't know if I've tasted the Bothy that you sent, the 2015. The 10th anniversary McTaggart 10-year cask strength. It looks like I may have tasted that. I don't know, but we can taste these two Aarons if I haven't. It really doesn't look like I tasted the Bothy, though. Let's go Bunnahabhain 20-year Palo Cortado. So I just raved in my most recent Scotch video about the 2022 Bunnahabhain cask strength. I have a bottle of the 23, wanted to review it, but I had the sample of the 22, and now I own 2 bottles of the 22 because the 2022 Bunnahabhain cask strength is phenomenal whiskey. So anyways, 20-year-old Palo Cortado cask finish, 54.9, so it's at 109.8 proof. Oh, geez. This is, I'm trying to think. There's this smoky element to this. It's a cross between like cedar, cigar box, smoked meats. There's like a really, this is like a smoked ham note. What's going on with this? Bunnahabhain 20-year Palo Cortado. So this is a 1997 limited release. Is that right? Is that distilled in 97? Yeah, distilled in 97, bottled in 18. The nose is crazy. So is this peated? Because I thought Buna was. Is it all unpeated or is it just some of it? If there's no peat in this, the smoked meat note that I'm getting is throwing me for a loop. There's barbecue notes, just funkiness, funky barbecue. I can't get past that. I gotta just taste it. Holy shit. super meaty. But sweet. Oh, man. This is unpeated, Mike. Then that's all just like dunnage funk notes? Is that what's going on then? I'm so confused, dude. This is a phenomenal nose. And you know what it reminds me of? Let me see if I still have this. Yes. So the kind of like barbecue-y meaty thing in here kind of reminds me of this Annandale. I have a 2015, well, it was bottled in 21. So it's like a 6-year, 5.5-year Annandale. This is so sherried that it's not quite a great comparison. This is crazy. This is crazy, this Bunnahabhain. Yeah, the palate starts with black pepper, smoked ham, barbecue sauce. And as it develops, it gets like a caramelized, like kind of like honey sweetness that starts to push out from underneath those meat notes. The finish is like tingling my lips with pepper. Okay, so sherry up, like, yeah, the Palo Cortado up front. There's all the meat right behind it. And now coming into play, there's like this caramelized dark honey sweetness that's transitioning into dark fruits now. It's like all these berry notes underneath it. That is like a favorite Scotch for me that I've had maybe ever, you know? That's kind of like a top 25er for me. Top 20. Crazy. Is this like a bottle? Does this have a cult following, this bottle? I would understand it if this bottle had, you know, its own kind of following online. Oh my God. So wait, Jesse, I think this is from Jesse, right? Oh my God. Well, that might be the winner of the night. Oh my God. I'm giddy. I'm sorry. Thank you, Jesse. Thanks for sharing that, man. So that's another one I've got to have Sarah try. She's going to freak out. So, 58 people hanging out tonight. Thank you guys for being here. I know the Scotch streams are significantly less attended than the Thursday night American whiskey escapades, but that's totally understandable. So, I appreciate you being here. I wonder, I wonder, Jesse, if you sent a sample to Mike. That's what I was thinking. I know some folks trade back and forth and stuff. So the Bunnahabhain 20-year Palo Cortado. I wonder what the current price of this is. Here's one on a Norfolk Wine and Spirits, which is probably not a reliable price necessarily, but $700. So Mike's got that bottle. Yeah, man. I would like to have that bottle. I don't think I could pay $700 for it, but so Javier, let's dive into something that you sent. Let's do a one-off. This is going to be a Bennuaine. And by the way, I've gone through a lot of Scotch so far, but considering that this is Scotch, lower ABV across the board, and small sips, I feel really good. So just checking in on the sobriety, feeling good. Bennuaine Contrasts, 10-year-old, fully matured in virgin oak air-dried 3 years. 2023 release, 46%. So let's see, Bennuaine. This could be one of my first experiences with Bennuaine. Let's look this up. Bennuaine Contrasts. So price on this. What's the price on this? The world's first certified organic single malt whiskey since 2006. So Kyle says, "Oh, are we doing the air dried versus the kiln dried? Bennuaine, the Springbank of Speyside." You're a poet, dude. They also released a kiln-dried version. Huh. $70. So this is not some crazy release then. Why do I want to say wet wool on the nose? I don't even know if I've ever smelled wet wool. That's just the thing that popped into my brain. So there's a particular graininess to this this contrast, and it says 2023 release. Are these identified by year, by vintage, or is that just the bottling date, Javier? To me, this is kind of straightforward. There's something earthy about this, something kind of crafty almost, I don't know if that makes sense in Scotch terms. But it's straightforward, like honey profile, is this a Speyside? I think you mentioned, Kyle. I was gonna say it's like a Speyside, like a light fruit kind of profile. Oh, that has a funk. It reminds me of like Craigellachie. Is this a worm tub whiskey? I mean, it's got that meatiness to the profile, and it also reminds me of like that Loch Lomond 18, the funk note in Loch Lomond 18. Wow, I really like this. The nose to me felt kind of plain Jane, a little underwhelming. like great balance to it, but nothing. It didn't feel special. $70. It's a great nose for $70. But the palate to me has that Craigellachie feel. I don't think I have my Craigellachie up here. I really like that. So Kyle says, same whiskey, same process. One air-dried staves, one kiln-dried. I like the air by a good bit when I did the tasting. I think that was contrast. Okay. Javier says, on the surface, it just seems like a virgin oak release. Yeah, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm not experienced with Benrumic, but the distillery character, if that's what I'm tasting on the palate, it has that, like, that heavy thing that I like. Even though the profile itself is not complicated, it's, you know, it doesn't feel, I mean, virgin oak, air dried, it doesn't feel overdone with the casks. It's not too heavy for me. It's a nice balance of spirit to cask. So that's, yeah, cool. Kyle says Benrumic is known to have a really nice funk. So if that's the funk, then I like that a lot. And I think I would be interested then to taste if that distillery funk happens with a $70 bottle from them. I'd be so curious to taste that then 20, 25 years later and see how that stuff develops. Because if that funk gets heavier and deeper, that would be pretty cool. All right, so we got some clean glasses here. So let's see, where do we want to go next? Here are some choices. I've got a GlenAllachie comparison, both 10-year cask strengths. One is from Javier, which I've already tasted, batch 8. But Leo dropped off a batch 7 earlier. So I could do a 7-8 comparison of GlenAllachie. From Jesse, I have a GlenAllachie 10-year rye cask finish. So we have 3 GlenAllachie samples. I've got the Compass Box Flaming Heart. I have a 19-year Bruichladdich, which is a Ralphie 1000 video single cask. This is also from Jesse. I have 2 Port Charlottes, PMC01 and PAC01. 9-year finished in French Pomerol, and 8-year finished in French Gironde region wine casks. I don't know that word. For a second, I thought it was Gigondas, but it's not. Alpha Crown says, speaking of Benrumic, recently tried the 2022 bottling of a 20-year-old single cask. Literally old-fashioned Highland style. Reminds me of Long Row and Highland Park. Huh. How much did something like that, like a 20-year single cask of Benrumic, what is the price tag on something like that? Cheech says PAC01. Oh, nice. I do want to taste these tonight. Javier, I also have your, what is this? Navazzos Palazzi Spanish malt. Bota Punta single Oloroso cask, one of 900 bottles. 2017 release. Spanish malt. Let's taste this. What's the age on this? Javier, any information on this Spanish malt you can give? Oh. It's a single Oloroso cask, but the nose has a little port thing going on for me. Navazzos Palazzi Bota Punta 2017. So yeah, 105 proof, one of 900. Okay, so I'm looking at the malt review description of this. It says Navazzos Palazzi is a partnership formed between Spain's Equipo Navazzos and Brooklyn, New York-based PM Spirits. Equipo Navazzos is spearheaded by two individuals, Jesus Barquin and Eduardo Ojeda. These two are the driving force behind securing old forgotten casks. It is clear from their portfolio that they are serious when it comes... Okay. Nicholas Palazzi is led by, it leads PM Spirits, group in Bordeaux. Super plain bottle. Make sure it's the malt and not the grain. I'm thinking I'm looking at the right thing. It looks like this is a really under-the-radar kind of bottle. All right. So this thing screams out of the glass. It's so sweet. It's like the sweetest. So this is Oloroso sherry. This is the sweetest Oloroso sherry I've ever smelled. In some ways, it reminds me of the Cavallon Soliste Vino Barrique that Lido sent. But this is so bright and sweet, and it doesn't. So because of that, it doesn't smell like sherry to me. The notes smell like sherry, but the sweetness smells like port. Oh, man. And in fact, like, when bourbons are over-finished in a port cask, that's what this smells like to me. It is, for 105 proof, this is really a pretty wild nose. Wow. Weird. The palate is like soft and very decadent and sweet. It's all fruit. What a wild whiskey. I think I like the nose more than I like the palate on this because the nose just explodes. The palate is a little bit softer even at 105 proof. It smells like just like fresh cherries, but also Luxardo cherries, like in a syrup. There's both things. There's super sweet and super fresh. I'm going to read the end of this on malt review. 9 out of 10 on malt review. Holy shit. If you're a big fan of sherry bombs, this bottle's immediately on the list. If you see it, grab it. It's such a specialty product. No one knows about it. Yeah. I've never tasted a Scotch quite like this. Yeah, Javier, I don't quite see that either. That this would be higher than the Buna 12 2022. I think, for me, what this reminds me of... Actually, I don't even know if I could find that. Ironically, both of these things I'm going to compare it to were sent by Jesse. Both, to me, are like pretty over-finished. One is 4-Gate Kelvin 6, so I know that's American whiskey, but this has weird American whiskey qualities, like over-finished American whiskey qualities. Yeah, okay. I need to revisit Kelvin 6, just based on that one little sip. But the K-Luke Keenan Cab Reserve, the Cabernet finished K-Luke, this has the same kind of like wine, super sweet fruit notes to it. Yeah, there's like a similarity there between the way that those things come off. What a crazy whiskey. Thanks for sending this, Javier. That's a very new experience and something that seemingly flies totally under the radar. Yeah, it's very non-traditional for me as well. So it's Spanish-grown malt. Their Spanish oak that used to hold their sherry. Wow, I mean, whoever, like, this review on Malt Review is so crazy. From Alex R. I mean, top 3 whiskeys that this person has ever tasted, and possibly a 10 out of 10 ranking on the right day. I don't see that, but the nose is great. Because to me, it's just so overdone with the finish, which for me is not a bad thing with sherry, but it is out of balance. Like, you know, if you smell and taste this whiskey, you know that it's out of balance. But I would drink that so many times, so many days of the week, I'd pick that bottle up and I would drink it. But I'm not going to kid myself and think that it's really a balanced product, because I don't think it is. All right, let's move on to some things that are a little less obscure. Paid reviews to Javier? I don't know. I tend to think that doesn't happen very much, at least on like reputable blogs and YouTube channels. I think a lot of paid reviews don't really happen there. I think on Instagram, they probably happen quite a bit. Instagram seems like a lot of kind of BS when it comes to reviews. It's just all brand deals and people pushing things. But I think on YouTube, there's a little different vibe. And with some of these blogs, I tend to have more faith, you know? Where are we going to go next? Let's veer off, and then we'll come back. This is going to be a Starward Australian single malt, single barrel, finished in French oak Spanish red wine. So who knows what the actual wine was? We'll do it in one of these glasses. Starward. It's a lot of chatter online, Starward. Especially, I mean, look, I see a lot of their stuff on Instagram. Bottles they've sent to people whose palates I don't trust. So let's get into this. Devin, what's up, man? Tried my first Scotch in years tonight. Joseph Yoon, how old are you? I'm 29. Devin, I'm turning 30 next month. Devin says, tried my first Scotch in years tonight. Bricolotti Isla Barley 2013. Pretty good, light fruit, nice spice, malt forward, not as bold as American single malt. Yeah. And a little bit of salt. 1 minute after the finish, cigarettes. Yeah, my 2006 Isla Barley, same thing, man. That little cigarette note in the background, but I love it. Starward, the pride of Australia, says Sladvan. Kyle, love Starward. Got an Irene Tan store pick, cast strength, heavy wine finish for $54. That's great. And it says the Australian climate is very similar to Texas. Okay. So let's see here. This one says $64.99. Thank you, Travis R., for all the info on this. 7 years French oak red wine barrel. The nose is not particularly great for me. It just feels overly alcoholic. 116. It smells hotter. Is that what it is? It has like you guys said, similar Texas kind of like climate or what did you say? Climate or profile? Yeah, climate. There's something about this that's kind of crafty too. I don't love the nose. There's a ton of what would I call this? Oh, it smells like rum. No, it smells like light whiskey is what it smells like. This totally is like candy shop light whiskey, a little green sappiness, very alcoholic. Yes, this smells like, and vanilla candy shop. Yeah, this smells like a light whiskey. So I don't love the nose on this, but people that like light whiskey would really dig this. And to me, I think a light whiskey drinker who is most likely coming from the bourbon side of things would not smell this and think single malt. I think they'd smell this and think light whiskey. Dude, this drinks like a light whiskey too. Did not expect this. It's like super sugary sweet. And so it's a red wine, French oak Spanish red wine finish. I wouldn't really know that. It drinks so hot. Travis, is this really only 116, man? It's fiery. This is a cool experience to be able to taste this, but it is not my cup of tea. It's just overly sweet, like in a sugary candy way. Whew. Huh. So, Travis, where is this from, man? Like, who picked this? What store picked this? Oh. So the little label, Travis is awesome and puts these stickers on here that have like kind of a tiny picture of the label. And it says Pedro Jimenez wine barrels. So when it said French oak Spanish red wine, I was thinking like, what is this going to be? Wow. Grenache. Why couldn't I think of the word Grenache? I was thinking like, is this going to be some sort of like Grenache, finish? But no, it's Pedro Jimenez. So this is a sherry finish. I would never know that, especially being a sherry and not being just a red wine. Interesting. Thanks, Travis, man. Definitely not up my alley. They're in Middle Tennessee. Yeah, Javier Rioja. But yeah, I was thinking Grenache. All right. Maybe one more, like one-off. Is there anything that I put on the thumbnail that we haven't tasted yet? I want to make sure we covered all of our bases. The Aaron stuff is on the thumbnail, so I do want to taste the Aaron. Oh, I won an eBay auction. I won a vintage symbol for $95. That's dirt cheap. All right. Let's go with this Bruichladdich. Ralphie 1000 video single cask 19-year Bruichladdich. Let's do this. It's the only like one-off that we have left really on the table. Okay. So we'll do this quickly. 52.7% for this 19-year Bruichladdich. Ooh. This is different. This smells like an apricot brandy finish. It's that strong. Distinct apricot brandy notes. Peach rings, There's a minerality to this that reminds me of George Dickel, actually. And this is Bruichladdich. So, very strange profile. If I had to associate it to American whiskey terms, I would say this reminds me of the Driftless Glen rye store pick that Devin sent me, which is crazy and tastes just like peach rings. It tastes like a finished whiskey through and through. And then it also smells a little George Dickel-y. This has a saltiness, a wet rock note to it This is a cool whiskey. It's got tons of layers to it. Did not expect that. Travis, here's a pic of the bottle that was generic from the internet. Oh, okay. Yeah, so Pedro Jimenez wine barrels, 180 bottles from that Starward. Man, what a crazy whiskey. I just wouldn't have expected that profile. Oh, single grain Australian whiskey. I wonder what the grain was. Okay, so Travis, your label says single malt, but the bottle says single grain. I wonder if that's not malt. Whoops. Because the color, like the profile, it reminds me of a light whiskey. Interesting. Sladvan vintage cymbal stream next week. Dude, I have been buying so many damn cymbals, and they're all from the 1910s to the 1940s. So this, I realized this today too, which I knew this, but I had never really said it out loud. All these old cymbals that I'm buying were before the drum set was invented. Like, think about that. The fact that that exists. Because the drum set was, the drum set's a product of, like, really the melting pot of musical cultures in New Orleans and stuff like this, and using Chinese toms and all these things before it became what it is today. But these cymbals predate drum sets and were all used as hand cymbals. And so, like, what I'm finding online right now, sorry to nerd out, guys, on eBay and Reverb and all these websites, you basically find these orphaned cymbals, 14, 15, 16, 17-inch cymbals, just singles. And then you do it by weight in grams, and you try to look at, like, okay, well, this is 1,650 grams, this is 1,585, like, that's going to make a good pair. They're both 15 inches, one's 15 and an eighth, but everything back then was out of round, it wasn't exact. So, okay, I'm going to buy this for 200, this for 250, and make a good pair of cymbals and hope they sound good together, So that's what I'm doing, and I've been buying all these old cymbals. But it is remarkable to, like, have a cymbal and say, like, this was made before drum sets existed. It's pretty crazy. Single grain means one distillery, a blend of grains. Oh, really? Huh. So Travis, what do you think about the bottle? Because if you like light whiskey, I think you would really enjoy that bottle. Bourbon Retriever, what's up? Javier says, are these vintage ones heavier, thicker? Yes. So a lot of these vintage cymbals, because they were hand cymbals, are significantly thicker. And so a lot of people will take a 15 or 16, even a 14. And typical ride cymbal size is 20 inches to like 24, if you want to go crazy. But let's say 20 inches for a ride cymbal. They'll take 14s and they'll put it online, like an old 1920s 14-inch cymbal, and say, like, small ride cymbal. It's like that wasn't a thing. Like, a 14-inch ride cymbal eventually became a thing, kind of. Really, really old school, early days of the drum set, but it was not made for that. It was made as a hand cymbal most times. So, anyways. Starward did a single grain PX sherry. The grain was wheat. All right, Adam. Interesting. All right, let's get on to this Ralphie Brooklotti, which I said peach rings and wet rock, and it's wild. Wild whiskey. Oh, my God. The palate is insane. And it still has all those notes. Oh, it's juicy. It's like apricot juice. Wow. That's a good pour. I would never in a million years, I don't think, know that was Brooklotti. Oh my God, that's so good. I am like slowly but surely becoming a Bruichladdich fan. I mean, like, fanboy. I'm already a fan. Everything I taste from them, I mean, the core range stuff is good, but everything that I taste from them that's of a higher age, single casks, and just, I cannot help but to love it. Oh, Javier says the VAT taxes scared me away. Travis, I do enjoy light whiskey. Older, that is, greater than 12. I get ethanol, slight funk caramel, palate fig, sugar, heat on the back end. It's definitely fat kid whiskey. Fig is interesting on that starward. I don't know which glass had that. This one. Fig. Yeah, I think I could see that. But the sugar takes over so fast. Fig to me is at the very front. That's maybe coming back now, but... whiskey character on the back of that bottle says toffee, tropical fruit, sticky date. I could go sticky date. Does it say product of Australia? Yeah, it doesn't say what the grain is. Or grains. Anyways. Well, the Ralphie Bruichladdich, that's a win. I don't understand necessarily the peach ring note that I get so clearly on this and on those Driftless Glen picks. It's a very specific note. Not sure what causes that. Sean says, who's Ralphie? Clearly I'm missing something. Sean, Ralphie is, unless you're messing with me, Ralphie is a Scotch reviewer here on YouTube that's pretty much like the OG of Scotch reviews, of whiskey reviews probably, actually, on YouTube. Okay. I'm starting to get towards the end here. We're not going to get into the Octomores tonight, and that's going to be okay. In front of me, I have 14-2, 13-2, 14-3, and 13-1. That's a pretty good spread. But we're not going to get into those tonight. I do want to taste the Port Charlottes, PMC and PACO1. I'd love to taste the Springbanks. That might be a tall order. We're not going to get to this. I've got a Lafroig 4 Oak. We're not going to get to that. I've got a Scotch Malt Whiskey Society Smoky Maritime Isla Whiskey Festival 7-year. Probably not going to get to that. The Glen Alecky comparison, I don't know that I'm going to get to that one tonight. But let me pull out Aaron, Springbank, and Port Charlotte. Ralphie's the OG of Scotch on YouTube. Cam, try those Port Charlottes with the 18 years, says Javier. Okay. Javier, what is the age? Oh, you have it on here. 9-year and 8-year. Okay. So we'll do that. Like, you think, Javier, you think skip the Aaron comparison? I mean, these Aarons are pretty old. Probably stuff that no one has anymore, I would imagine. Let's do it. Where is it? There we go. So Port Charlotte 18. Have I really drank this much? Dear God. I mean, I think I shared this bottle one time, but I think I've put a hurting on it. We're going to get fresh glasses for this. I recently purchased additional glasses. So I think now I've got 15, 17. I think I've got 19 of these glasses that I use. Minus a couple because the junkies stole them at the barrel pick we did together. Sladvan, should I go buy a Bruichladdich 18? What do you guys think? To me, the answer is like, I don't know that it's worth the money. But all right, so Javier says the PAC and PMC ran about $150 each. Tom says, depends on your level of love for Bruichladdich. To me, it's just a better version of the classic Lottie, and therefore it's tough to say 180 is worth it. I think what I said about it was that I liked the palate a lot, but the nose was just okay, and that the whiskey really, there's nothing special about it. Yeah, I don't think there's anything really special about it. I'd rather try to find... I'd rather wait around for some kind of single cask, independent bottling or something of Bruichladdich and put my money there for a really specific profile around that age statement than go for that 18-year. I just don't think there was anything special there. Devin, what are we stealing this Thursday? I don't know. We'll figure that out. All right, so here's what I've got, guys. From your left to right, PAC 01 on your left, 8-year finished in French Gironde. I'm probably not saying that right. Region Wine Cask 2021 release, 56.1. And then we got PMC 01, finished in 9-year finished in French Pomerol, Region Wine Cask 2023 release at 54.5, slightly lower percent. And then we've got the Port Charlotte 18 at 54.3, which is the lowest ABV of the bunch, but the highest age statement by about double. There we go. So I'm going to smell the 18. Smells very nice. Now we're going to go on to the PAC 01, the French Gironde Region Wine Casks, 8 years old. Huh. So the Port Charlotte 18, you can definitely smell the age. And the PAC 01. Oh man, what is this note? God, sometimes you smell something and you cannot put words to it. Is it like there's a cigarette note. Is it a barbecue note? Somewhere between cigarettes and barbecue on the smoke. I almost want to say there's an oatmeal note to this. We'll come back to that. I just need to get the side-by-side. So PMC, Pomerol. Ooh, this is very grapey. Yeah. I mean, it smells like Merlot. It really does. And there's a sweetness. There's like a sugary thing, which I'm not so accustomed to with Port Charlotte. Like the Port Charlotte 18, very salty, savory, The PMC, sweet, sugary Merlot grape. Kind of that combination of like for me, sometimes like Merlot finishes can be Welch's grape juice and coffee bean, somewhere in that range. And then the PAC is a little brighter. And I said oatmeal. What is this note? I don't know. Yeah, Javier, Pomerol is for sure. All right, I'm going to taste the PAC 01 first. Woo. It's got like some youthful intensity to it. But also very sweet. Let me look up that region in France. So, signature grapes in the region of, how do you say it? Gironde? Gironde. Gironde. So, signature grapes of the region, Cabernet Sauvignon, Merlot, and Cabernet Franc. But some percentages of Malbec, Carmenere, and Petit Verdot usually display notes of blackberries and blackcurrant that are often accompanied by nuances of spice and wood. I don't know. It's a little bit earthier for me. PAC01. It's very woody. It's not very fruity for me. But onto the Pomerol finish, which has actually some elements on the nose of that Spanish malt that I tasted, which is very overfinished on the nose, and that's Oloroso Sherry. But I said it smells to me more like the Cabernet Sauvignon finished K-Luke, the Keenan Reserve. So, interesting comparison. Maybe a little heavy on the finish for the PMC. Like, the spice and the spirit that wants to break through on the palate can't quite get there because the finish is just too heavy. Oh, okay, Javier. So PAC is left bank Bordeaux and PMC is right bank. Okay. So you're going Cabernet Merlot, basically. It's funny though because the finish on the PMC is so much heavier, but also and you can taste it. You can taste the Merlot in this. The PAC is more woody and earthy. I would have to say, from a balance perspective, I think I probably like the PAC 01 better. Someone's going to love the PMC because of the intense grapiness that it's got going on. The Welch's grape juice note, which is like, kind of blackberry. But now onto the Port Charlotte 18, which on the nose has, by comparison, has a cheese note. When there is a cheese note on any whiskey, to me it displays funk, it displays age. I selfishly just love those notes. All right, let's change the music. I'm getting a little tired of the jazz in my ears. Yeah, the PMC jamminess. But see, I think that the jamminess is overdone. I'm also someone that doesn't love overfinished whiskeys. The only kind of finish that I like to be blown out of proportion is probably Armagnac. And frankly, the only one that's done that at the highest level for me is Chateau de la Baude Batch 1, where it's totally blown out of the water, but I don't care because it's so delicious. This, like the PMC 9-year, I think with an older whiskey, maybe, and slightly less finish, it would be so integrated that I would like it. Now onto the 18 again. So I said cheese on the nose is what stands out, like this really aged funkiness. I mean, the balance on that is off the freaking charts. But let me put the PMC aside Let's go 18 versus PAC. Now I can start to get a little red fruit influence in this comparison on the PAC. It's almost a little bit more of like a Pinot finish, like subtle Pinot, brighter cherry, almost strawberry on the PAC. It's just got that youthfulness to it. I'm going to go Port Charlotte 18 over both of them, but that should probably be the case. And between the AC and the MC, I'm going to go PAC. But that just depends if you want super finished whiskey. All right. Well, guys, we left a few things off, but I mean, look, what did we get to? Yeah, I think we got to all of these. So 20 whiskeys, not bad. 20 quick reviews, small sips of these whiskeys. Well, maybe less. I didn't do the Lafroig. Didn't do this. So maybe 18 or so. I don't know. Doesn't matter. We got through a lot of whiskey tonight. Thank you for hanging out. Not going to get to the Berklotti, the Aaron. So I put Aaron on the thumbnail. Maybe I need to change that. I'll do it after the fact. Didn't get to the Glenallachie's, the Compass Box Flaming Heart, the Springbank comparison, but I can't keep going. So we did some damage. Pink Dan, I know, man. Travis says, to date, the PC-18 is the best dram of Scotch I've had. Yeah, it's good. So that's going to do it. Folks on the Patreon side of things, Discord, look out for a video tomorrow. You guys are funny. Look out for a video tomorrow. Hit that like button on your way out. If you want to help support the channel, if you're not a member of the Patreon, $5 a month is the lowest tier. It would be great if you would join us over there. It's literally somewhere between a cup of coffee and a frappuccino every month, and you can do some real damage supporting the channel. $5 seems like a small amount, but that stuff adds up, and the Patreon is growing really well. So we're gonna have more of these Scotch Sunday live streams coming up, and I'm shooting every month or 2 months to do one of these things. Barrel pick this Thursday with the Junkies at Evernorth. And then Friday, we should be dropping the Middle West Spirits wheat whiskey pick, which is phenomenal. 130 proof, 6.5-year wheat whiskey aged in a 30-gallon barrel. That's going to do it. Cheers, guys. And I'm going to wrap up. Like I said, let me make sure. This is the Oban, which is great. But I'm going to wrap up with the Macallan. I think this is... Oh, is this the Ruby or the 14-year? I don't know, but it's really good dark Macallan. Cheers, guys, and I'll see you soon here on Drums and Drams.